Huh? Wait. Oh, what do you guys? No, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Look at this. Yeah. Look at shiny Runeterra Twitter stuff. All right. So it looks like they have unlocked, revealed words that mean the same thing. Pyke and Jayce. Seeing Jayce to me is pretty interesting because the PNZ champions currently, I pretty much have I have a PNZ Nova Shard, and I have like a Nova Super Duper Shard, and I have a Shadow Isles one. Seeing Jayce means that instead of going Jinx or Echo, I could go with Jayce. Jayce is a brand new champion. Maybe it's worth it to see him at his Mega 6-star. Let's see what they're willing to reveal. This is the stuff about Braum. I didn't react to that, and there's also a teamfight tactic stuff that I can react to if you guys want me to. But yeah, up to you guys, because I don't know exactly where I'm putting all this stuff in as far as these channels and things of that nature. So let us go into here. We have July 15th Constellation reveal. Tomorrow will be the reveal plus patch notes. That's actually today. I lied. So yesterday they were into reveal. I'm so bad, dude. So it comes out that tomorrow they're actually launching it, and then today they revealed. Okay, gotcha. So I'm actually late to the party, so that's fine. So Pyke, they did say, I think it was an interview with Snooey, I feel it was, and they said that, hey, Pyke's coming, baby. We're gonna redo Pyke Des, and now let's see what they're gonna be doing. So this one, lie in wait, just kind of makes sense. It really does. It's funny because it doesn't. Well, he's already a lurker, so I guess it doesn't matter. It makes his deck a little bit more consistent. So lurking grants 1 extra defense. So before I think it was only attack, but now it actually gains defense as well. And so, oh yeah, this is the full rework, ladies and gentlemen. Because actually, let me exit out of this fight. Let's compare. I'm actually, you know what's funny? Pyke is actually in this deck. Funny enough, he's actually in this deck with. I'm trying to test something with Evelyn. So let me get out of this fight and let's see something. So my Pyke needs a lot of work, as you can see. I actually really liked him. Right, so currently he had the Mariner's Ruse thing with the whole thing about granting Mariner's Ruse to 4 random allies. When you get the attack token, granted to 2 more, draw 1. So it was like this thing in Mariner's Ruse, if you didn't know, it was like pretty much makes a character a lurker. So it's a unit makes it a lurker, not like a spell, which would be pretty cool if they would have done it that way. And then we have when an ally dies, create a random lurker that costs 1 more in your deck and grant it +1/+1. So they're wanting to change this. So let's see the change again. Let's go back to it. So they did a change where now lurking is just, so you lose the ability kind of to make more lurkers in the deck. So that's kind of interesting. So like, I think that would have made it lurking more consistent, right? Especially, and they haven't really remedied or fixed this, right? The whole issue that you have, especially when you're playing like a Pyke or if I get a Rek'Sai, is that most things aren't lurkers. They're not lurkers. So I see why they did that, is that because you see lie in wait, so 3 costs or less. But the other one would have made anything, like almost any of your whole deck eventually just becomes lurkers. So I kind of like that better. And they also have his round start if you have the attack token summon an ephemeral Sharkling, which is a Sharkling is one of, I'm pretty sure it's this. And depending on how crazy the Sharkling gets, then I guess that's the thing. It has an overarm already attached to it, and you're getting it on your attacking round. I'm pretty sure if I go through the champion level, I'm pretty sure that Sharkling probably gets a bunch of nonsense. I'm just looking for it. These are my good eyes, and it does not. So the only thing that it gets is that one little thing. So I'm not a big fan of that change. That kind of seems dick. But let's keep going. And then the extra mana gen, and then the legendary. Your spells everywhere have lurk. There it is. So that's the big payoff right there. When a card lurks, if it is a follower, summon it, attacking, otherwise draw it. That is really cool. So now your spells, oh, it's okay. So they changed it to have the 6-star more of the payout, which is, I guess, it makes sense. But it's a Bilgewater. Obviously, Pyke is Bilgewater. So, yeah, all your spells are lurk. And then when a card lurks, it summons it attacking, which is crazy. That means you can get the Pyke. It comes out. And actually, how does that work with Pyke, actually? Is he considered a spell? He should be considered a unit in the deck. And then you summon it immediately and then he's attacking? Or do you get the spell in hand? Which to me, honestly, the spell's a little bit better. So, interesting. But it is what it is. That could also... There's a lot of cool combos with that, obviously. Not like super flashy, but the adrenaline of it, right? The whole aspect of you attacking, right? You attack and then like something crazy comes out of the deck. And it doesn't matter what it is, right? So you actually can then put big mama damas in the deck, right? and if they get lurk. Now before it would have made, see, now they have to be 3 or less. Damn it. Yeah, this other one would have did it, right? Because if you look at the old one, see, like game start, Mariners was the 4 allies. When you get the attack token, you give 2 more. So every time I get the attack token, 2 more allies in my deck get Mariner's Ruse. So yeah, I could have put like Aurelion Soul, for example, in my deck. He could have got Mariner's Ruse, and then boom, he would, with the new passive at 6 stars, it would have actually triggered off, right? But this other one, that's not gonna happen. Like, so it's pretty much you want to keep your deck smaller units, so the higher chance of that. And then if you do get to this part where your spells are kicking in, then that's great too. All right, so next up is going to be Jayce, and Jayce is obviously brand spanking new. He is like a regular Lux, about 6 cost stuff, but he's a little bit more frugal or more intense about it, because regular Lux, what she has is that regular Lux is like it can equal up to 6, so it doesn't really matter as long as you're spending mana. She doesn't mind. It doesn't have to be 6. 6 is just the quickest way to do it. But Jayce, it has to be a 6 cost spell. Has to be a 6 cost spell. So you have to be really careful when it comes down to reducing the spell of like the cost of a spell. I'm assuming he's gonna have some type of refill mana thing similar to Lux. If he's too similar to Lux, it's gonna be kind of boring. So let's click the tab. Boom. So we're gonna start off with, when you play a 6 cost spell, reduce the cost of non-spells in your hand by 1. So it's like, I only care about the spells, which he does, so anything else gets reduced, so that's pretty interesting. And then the hypercharge too, I'm gonna skip over that. When you play a 6 cost spell, reduce the cost of non-spells in your hand by 1, and then give allies +1 and a random keyword this round. Okay, so it's basically like his hex acceleration gate in a way. And it's infinite. Right, so when you play a 6 cost spell, reduce the cost of non-spells in the hand, and yeah, it's infinite. So he actually has, I think the card is called Defender of Tomorrow. It's a burst speed 6 cost spell that gives you another 6 cost spell, and which actually you can't loop it because he's probably gonna have 6 cost spells in his deck. But if you could loop that a bunch of times, that'd be great, because you give all your allies +1/+0 and a random keyword, and then boom, let's see what the loveliness here is. +1 starting mana, round start, create a Hextech anomaly in hand if you don't already have one created this way. Hextech Anomaly, if I'm not mistaken, is a card that we don't really talk about because it's weird, it's random. This is Hextech Anomaly. So when you draw or create me in hand, or each round, pretty much when it's in the hand, it's not going to be this card. Transform me into a random 6 cost spell. So it's very interesting. It's very cool. It goes into any 6 cost spell from any region. It could be something really cool. It could be something useless. The problem is that it changes every round. So whenever you have it in hand, if you have the mana and it's good, you want to use it pretty much. You want to utilize it. But if it's trash, you just kind of sit it in hand. And that's kind of what this new passive is. So pretty much he's always going to have a 6 cost spell. I'm surprised that gearing up, not sorcery? Why the hell would you do that? That seems like a weird thing. I guess it depends on the deck, but sorcery would make more sense, because then at the beginning of the round, especially at like 3 mana, boom, boom, you already can start playing something for 6. Gearing up makes no sense to me at all. Like that is what kind of cocaine was that about? Who made that decision? Like, yes, you have a created card in your hand every turn, but you can't play it until, I forget what it is. So you start off with 2 mana, right? Base thing, right? So saying that you have this, because you have the first 3. I'm never gonna anticipate having 4, 5, 6 stars, right? So you start off with 2 mana. You have to not do anything that first opening turn, right? So you bank the 2 mana, and then you have 3, and then you have 2 banked up, so at 5. You still can't do jack shit with that, right? So then you have to still wait till turn 3 after still banking 3 spell mana in order to play your first 6 cost spell, which is absolutely hot ass, right? Hot ass. So why would they not give you sorcery? Like, sorcery will allow you to play your mana. You really wouldn't care about it. Especially, it's basically to scale him backwards, like to scale him back a little bit. That just made no sense. Sorcery just makes so much sense. They gave it to Jinx too. Maybe they didn't want it to be similar because Jinx gets sorcery and she doesn't need it. I actually think that it would make more sense to give Jinx Armored Gearhead two defenders, and she has the Pow Pow, she has the Hextech Rocket, so they'll be actually scaling up. Makes way more sense to me, and give him sorcery. That would make sense. Am I bugging? You guys let me know in the comments if I'm bugging. That just makes no sense to me. Like, yeah, Hextech Anomaly is great, but it can give you upward. Oh, you have vengeance this turn, and then oh, I didn't have a good vengeance target. Then next thing you know, it turns into, let me just, I guarantee I could find something that's yeah, Hextech Transmogulator. Oh, shop unlicensed invocation. I don't know how I can say it. It's like, oh, it's Shock Blast, and the next turn it turns into this, or it's like something like this where you don't actually have enough mana to play. It's 6+, so like you can have 6 mana, like 6 mana including spell mana, and then it automatically goes to Glorious Evolution. And it's like, well, I can't play Glorious Evolution. I don't have enough mana. So then it switches, and then it switches to Malmutation. Like in this, like I said, it doesn't matter the region, right? So it's literally any spell that is 6 and above is the, yeah. So it could be Wild Claw's Ferocity, yeah, or Boomerang Blade, and you have no units on the field. Like it's just, yeah, it's a little bit wonky, and you have to spend, for Jayce specifically and all his powers, you have to spend the mana. So like mana cheating any of this stuff, like the plunder thing, is not going to work. It is not about the base cost. It is about the cost that he's actually spelled it. Let's say differentiated here. So far Jayce looking like a cup of noodles, and they just nerfed him. It's just like they could have made this way cooler by giving him sorcery. I guess it's too easy to give him sorcery, but it also just makes a lot of sense. Even I would have like Explosive Finale or something. Like I don't know, like it just seems weird. Maybe the Hextech Infusion, when I spend all my money on him, maybe it works. So after you play a 6-cost spell, deal 10 to a random enemy or the enemy nexus if there is none. So if you play a 6-cost spell, unit getting 10 damage, that's really good, obviously. And then the enemy nexus, it then starts taking 10 every time you start spamming out these cards. You're obviously going to look for spells that have like it regens. Are spells able to have that? I don't know if I've ever had a spell that does that, right? That I thought that at first honestly I thought that this was Hextech Observatory, and I would have been like, oh, that's amazing, you get a Hextech Observatory right in the beginning of the game. Then I would be actually pretty fine with not having sorcery. But so far Jayce seems like a bag of junk. Honestly, he seems pretty cake unless you get the 6-star. This thing is cool and all, but it's like it's saying that it's conflicting. And what I mean by that is that when you're trying to save spell mana, right, you're trying to save it, you don't want to basically play units like that. You want spells that create units. So hopefully within Jayce's main deck, right, he has these spells, because he's going to be PNZ, right? So we go back to PNZ. You have stuff like the Forge Workers. That's definitely going to be in his deck. If they don't put Forge Workers in there, they just don't like you. And Shock Blast. Those are the 2 cards that are 120,000% in his deck. And possibly Formula. Formula is great. Something like Formula is great, but it still takes your spell mana. So like you refill your spell mana, sorry, your regular mana. You refill your spell mana, but if you don't have any other regular mana, you can't play another thing unless you have it that this gives you back mana in some way, shape, or form. It's like, yeah, a Spluttering Swordsbringer, that's not gonna be in there. A Progress Day maybe, but that's again too expensive. It's too expensive for the beginning unless you have something to help you with mana. The units in the hand will then get cheaper as you are using these cards, but it just seems like it's going to be slow. I actually, like, as far as Pyke versus Jayce, Pyke just makes more sense. Again, they scaled it back, and they are purposely, and I do suck to say this, they are purposely scaling them back so that there is an incentive for you to go and get that 6-star, right? This a good example of this is Aurelion Sol, right? Aurelion Sol's 4th star is, his whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. He'll never really need to be 6-star ever because he's just way too strong. And that is what you can see the difference. Like, why do they need to go all the way to 6 to get to the level of what Aurelion Sol is doing pretty much in 3-star, doesn't even need the 4. So let me know, what do you guys think? Who's better? Who's winning the war of Jayce versus this one? Okay, look. They had to be like, yo, check some of the Mariah's rules. Look. Look, because it made no sense. So yeah, so now I can get the Aurelion Sol in the shop and pull them out of my deck for no reason. There you go. Followers you acquire eventually that cost 4 or more have Mariner's Ruse, which means they're gonna have the lurk. So they did it in another way. Deep dive, yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean, I mean, there could be that for Jayce too. We're only looking at the 6-stars. It could be that like within his other side thing that he has things that help him with mana. Because a lot of times, even when I look at, let's go to Jinx because I'm complaining about it, right? Sorcery right there, it just makes too much sense. But these little bonus stars sometimes do like really makes it, like Vex is probably, I should have went to Vex. Vex is insane. Like supposed to, like Vex to me is still one of the best setup one. Like, yeah, your support champions have utmost despair, and then Pyke gets more damage, and then damage spells I acquire and get Sergeant Sigil 3, which is +4 damage. They probably should scale that back, honestly, but I ain't complaining, yeah. And I just wanted to add this to the back of the video. So they did actually showcase similar to this one with the Lakadar Solari. I think it just gives it barrier or something like that. Deadly Harpoon here. So this is going to be Pyke's epic relic thing, majig. +2, +0, give it challenger. Game start, shuffle 2 deaths from below into your deck and grant deaths from below a random epic item. So this one is pretty decent. It gives you a free card in the thing that summons Pyke. If you guys don't know what death from below is, it's this card, the lurk fast spell, summoning Pyke striking. I'll look into, I want to go over this in another video because they actually have one for Jayce as well, and I want to do that in a separate video, similar to like how we did the other ones. Are the relics worth it? We'll do a full-on video. What characters really work within the deck, what characters don't. We'll do a full-on video on that. But so far, just in Pyke, obviously that's great. You get a death from below. Other ways to summon Pyke, really good. But in other decks, if you have anything with a everywhere buff, that can also use that as well. And then let me go over to Jayce because I'm in the midst of editing, so you guys can see in the background, and I'm just gonna cut out this because I didn't know that they had Jayce's thing, and as you can see, I'm complaining about it, and I just got done complaining about it, but I realized that they actually have it. So +1, +2, when I level up, refill 3 mana. If I'm Jayce, refill 6 mana instead, and this is regular mana, so it's not necessarily spell mana. So this one is really cool. There's obviously characters that we can automatically think about, Nidalee and Evelyn, that can level up multiple times during a run, and then Jayce gives 6, so he can level up, so he can only trigger it once. You play a 6-cost spell, which levels Jayce, and then he gets 6 mana right back, and then you could play another 6 mana call if you have it in hand, right? We don't know his starter deck at the moment, so that's gonna make it a little bit differently, but hopefully it will be pretty cool and stuff like, yeah, hopefully it will be good. But on Jayce, obviously it's good because he's basically playing 2 in there. They also showcase this one, spells you acquire in the adventure that cost 6 or more have Elixir of Sorcery. Luckily for me, I actually have that here. Elixir of Sorcery is actually copying on the same target, so that will double trigger onto his thing. So it's every acquired, as it says, every one that you acquire. So not the ones that are in your starting deck, but the 6-cost cards. You're looking for 6-cost cards, spells to put in that will double twice, so you'll get something that triggers twice. So that's interesting, obviously. If you get, and the crazy, if you get X-Tech anomaly in the run, like you buy it out the shop, then anything like that, it will work like that. It would be pretty interesting. I still think Jayce is booty cheeks at the same time, but yeah, I think that they could have done a little better there. And they're also here talking about, they just dropped this, the weekly nightmares. So I think the weeklies are getting better, or have another set, so you can even, there's more content technically to do. And this is something that I've been saying, don't hit the messengers, that it's very easy for them to reuse old content, which is kind of crazy. I hate to say it, but it's not that it's lazy, but it's just it's easy, right? You just redo old content, make it a little bit harder. I said this about the Swain Adventure, and they basically can profit off of it by making stuff 6.5 star is nuts. Like how hard is that supposed to be? So that's probably gonna be a nightmare, something cool to do. This is the Jayce. This is the whole thing explaining what Jayce does, and there goes the thing with Pyke, and they're changing his starter deck a little bit. And then these are the 2 epic relics. Like I said, we will go through these, what characters work, what characters don't, and then they're on the Jayce bundle where you can get that. So Jayce, you can buy that, get some shards going, and they seem to do it for always the newer champ, so that's a thing, the 4-star bundle, all this other stuff. I'll probably again get that. I would like to get that, so we would end up with this. This is, I guess, Deadly Harpoon. Both are available in the Champion Celebration bundles, but not gold relic release. So that's really important to note. So you cannot buy, you're not gonna get these randomly. You have to buy these if you want them. So I prefer that, honestly, but I know some people don't. And then more bundles, change power, stabilize when you summon. When you summon to when you play, I feel like that makes sense. It was kind of causing a lot of issues with summoning on summoning on summoning. And a lot of times they do that because it does nerf some stuff, that they change that. And then change item Shadow Totem is also when you play. So yeah, both stable, yeah, causing a stream of bugs. Yeah, I agree with that. Emporium has refreshed offer types to provide players with more options in light of our focus on PvE. Yeah, because some of the stuff like the boards and stuff like that, like in the Imperium, it was like, I don't want to buy this. Like, doesn't do anything. So I'm hoping that they give you more options for that, which is pretty sick. Then it's about rotation. Don't care about that at all. And yeah. Hopefully that was pretty cool for you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Like I said, I want to do the video going through all of the champions. No, not showcasing each one, but like showing what I think those two things will work on and which ones I won't. Is it worth the money? Should you buy it? Things like that. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.